Natural. Okay, all right.
Okay, here we have Daniel Lee, former Staff Sergeant of Singapore Police Force. I remember I promised you a video where we're going to talk about the US Police and the Singapore Police.
Yep.
So we have a ex-Singapore Police cop. We don't use the word cop.
Officer.
Officer, okay. When do we use the word officer, or in the British style, we use constable, right? Because in Singapore, normally you need to be a lieutenant before we call you an officer. So what's it like in Singapore?
So Singapore generally junior officers and senior officers.
So when you're private, you're still officer.
They call them constables.
Constable.
Yes, yeah, but we don't have the constable ranks anymore.
All right.
It was removed.
So as a general public, how do we address you?
Officer.
Officer.
Yes.
Oh, good, huh? So Daniel, look at this video right now.
Yeah.
And you see this cop actually fired the suspect who is holding a gun. I often see US videos where they really discharge as many rounds as possible.
Yes.
In Singapore, one round already decapitate that guy already, right?
Yes.
Oh, okay, tell us the difference.
Yes. So it comes down to police training.
Okay.
Right. So in the US, you have to understand that anybody walking down the street can have a gun.
Okay.
Right. So in the US, what they told us years ago was they use warning shots first. Right. We shoot to kill.
Okay.
Yes. That's a big
So
difference.
we try not to discharge the arm unless absolutely necessary.
That's right. And when we do discharge, we just aim to kill.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Why wouldn't you shoot the leg and maybe not kill?
Your legs are always moving.
Right?
It's much easier to hit a big stationary target like your body than to hit your legs. So what you see when someone hits on the leg, that's just in the movies. The reality is that all of us are trained to hit right at your torso, over here.
Okay.
And you only need to fire one shot because one shot should be enough.
And with the introduction of the Taser,
yeah,
how effective has that been to apprehend?
So the whole idea of the Taser was that the police have batons, right? But they found is that there's a big gap between using the baton and then using the pistols. So they realized if you have one cop walking around with the Taser, then if situations are a little bit serious, you can try to tase the guy down. Okay,
so talking about the Taser and the Baton, in China they use that long metal pole.
Yes.
The stainless steel one with the
or the neck catcher, right?
Yeah, so I thought that was really effective because you can keep your distance yourself from a knife wielding person.
Yes, okay.
Why is that not
the problem is this. Imagine you are facing someone. You think the person is going to stand there and just let you catch them in the neck with that neck catcher?
But two or three people can just really corner him.
So what happens is the person is always moving, right? And if you want to stop the person, what do you need to do? You got to go up close and grab the person. You got to suppress the person. So the neck catcher becomes obsolete. China's a bit different because China has different classes of police officers.
Okay.
Yes. They have what they call just a level above security guards, all the way to heavily armed police, which would be the equivalent of your SWAT teams. Yes. Okay. So they have different classes.
Don't we also have special forces?
We do have what is called the STAR team, the Special Tactics and Rescue, right? But they are on one extreme end. All cops in Singapore, when they're out or on the street, they are armed.
Okay.
But in China, they have unarmed police officers.
So when you talk about manhandling and all those, what's the rules here? I realized that Singapore recently introduced one female constable in the team.
Okay, so female officers have always been in the team, right? Even before I was in the force. Okay. The difference is that there's always a challenge getting women to be part of the police force.
Right.
Yes.
And the reason for putting them is for them to handle female
suspects.
Okay.
By having the female officer do more the handling minimizes the risk of any complaints from the subject.
But when push comes to shove, they can handle the women.
Oh yes, of course.
Okay.
Yes.
That's very comforting to hear actually, because I think recently there's so much of these narratives where you're mishandling me, or you're molesting me, or whatever, and the civil servants are too afraid to handle the opposite gender.
Yes, exactly. Look, almost 25 years ago, that was a very different environment, right? The whole idea that someone is going to complain or someone is going to sue you,
very low, right?
Is very low. Now the officers are more sensitive to all this, and that's why you get all these instances whereby the suspect does something different and then the officers don't seem to know how to handle it. It's not because they don't know how to handle it. They're concerned about the risk of
the repercussions.
Yes.
Yeah. So why is it that when I touch a girl, I go to jail?
Yes.
But when a girl touches me, it's my lucky day. So this is Daniel Lee, and you're wondering why Chinese like us have names like Christian, and when Chinese like us have names like Christian and Daniel is because Singapore is a cross border between the East and West, and at that time we were under the British colony for almost 144 years, and then American companies came in. So those English speaking ones, like Daniel is a baptized Catholic.
Yes.
Yeah, so they automatically adopt a Catholic name. So that's the reason why. It's not that we don't have Chinese names. We also have, it doesn't sound like Li Keqiang or Ding Xiaoping or anything, but yeah, we do have Chinese names.
Yes.
Singapore police are kind of smaller, and when we have a lot of foreigners, talking about foreigners, they come and they're huge, like seven police sometimes cannot even apprehend one foreigner.
Yeah. Okay.
Tell us.
Okay, look, most Southeast Asians, right, and that's where a lot of us Singaporean stocks come from, are pretty small. And so it's natural that you're going to need 3 or 4 of them to tackle one person who's probably like 10 cm taller, 10 kilos heavier.
Yeah. And I also watch a lot of videos about Singapore police. They're so careful on how they handle the so-called perpetrator or the culprit.
Yes.
Sometimes citizens like us just feel like helping them, handling them, giving them a kick in the neck or something.
Yeah.
Is that welcome or is that encouraged?
Okay, so first question, why do the cops seem to be delicate when they're dealing with suspects, right? They do that is because when the suspect is brought into the station, the suspect has to be assessed for any injuries that occur.
Right.
And the officer themselves have to sort of explain what they did to subdue the subject.
What is the most exciting part of your career? Is there one incident? Have you discharged your arm ever?
So when we were first assigned to the area that we're at, which is an area called Boon Lay, right? There used to be a lot of illegal DVD sellers. Yeah, and these they sell mature content DVDs.
Oh,
so what we used
tell
to
us the naked truth.
And so what we used to do was we would dress up in plain clothes, just like how we're dressing now. And we would go there and pretend to be customers.
Right.
Imagine that the person is standing right there selling the DVD. And this is a table of all their DVDs, VCDs, and whatnot. We'll walk around, we'll pretend to browse through some of the items, and then we'll start making our way to the side. And then once we're standing next to the person, we'll just go, hey, you're under arrest. In most cases, the guy is so shocked that they just stand there.
Don't you show a badge or something first?
No, we just flip out. Oh, so
the ID.
Yeah, so in Singapore, we don't have badges because the view is that badges can be duplicated.
All right.
We have warrant cards. So it's effectively like a card. Well, this is not my warrant card. I gave it back to the police force. But we have a card in which we flash, we show. I flashed my card. This guy immediately took off.
Right. That
proceeded to like an 100 meter dash in which I was shouting at him, telling him to stop. Only reason why I caught up to him was because he slipped and fell. Oh. Right. And I caught the guy, and that was it.
So these are like the most exciting stories in a very safe country like Singapore.
Yeah. Well, actually, there's a lot more. I mean, look, there are a lot of things like floating dead bodies off the sea that gets washed upon to the shore.
Kallang River.
You see things like murder cases, people jumping off the buildings, people hanging themselves. Traffic accidents that are fatal. You see a lot of things. In terms of excitement, I wouldn't say those are exciting because you see the gore and all that. That's why I shared the DVD story. It was a really small crime, but it gave that sense of excitement, yeah. NYPD or LAPD style.
Okay, so why did you leave the forces?
Honestly?
Yeah. No, why would you be dishonest with me and my viewers?
The police force is sort of a place whereby you either want to be a cop or you have no idea what you want to do with your life, and then the police force gives you something to do. Okay. Right. So for me, there were other things that I wanted to do with my life.
So what are you doing now?
So I'm a leadership speaker.
Okay.
Yeah, and I get in front of the stage and I work with people to help them become leaders.
So yeah, so that's how I met Daniel. He's a good trainer for leadership, first-time leadership. He wrote a book called
First Time Leadership.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I help individuals become successful leaders, and that's what I do.
There's a special link to his website at the comment section. So any of you want to reach out to him, Staff Sergeant,
just reach out.
Daniel Lee.
Yes.
Okay, until the next episode, this is Christian, and thank our guest Daniel for appearing.
See you guys around.
Bye.